Today we're in Sedona, Arizona, reviewing the Passila bicycles Hamari. Today we're going to take this on the infamous Highline Trail. A little bit scary to ride solo, especially in the awful conditions we have. We haven't had rain for about 4 months. The rocks are covered with this fine layer of silt, making everything super slippery, but this bike deserves a trail like that to really be pushed. So here we go. So I'm able to run the full 180 dropper. That's a first in my lifetime, thanks to the straight seat tube and the low small seat tube. Now, I've ridden this a couple times and the front end is extremely low. So I've run all my spacers underneath. That's about 1.5 inches of spacers to raise it up. Now I'm running this at 130. If you were to run it at 140 or 150, like 150 would be, you'd still need a couple spacers under this to get the stack height that I like, but yeah, this is what's required for 130. It felt super low when I got on it with normal stack height, like Marin San Quentin low, like unrideable low. So I'm so glad that I was able to lift that up and that my steer tube was long enough. Looks a little goofy, but who cares what it looks like? I've got this thing here to ride. So it's got a 465 reach, doesn't feel crazy long. Feels comfortable, just like that Kona Hanzo ESD did with a 465 reach on a size medium. I'm 5'6" with short legs and a long torso. I've been mountain biking for 25 years, and I used to race BMX as a kid. So I like to think both of those influence my riding style. Not the world's fastest rider. I just like to be smooth and have fun, and I like slow tech. So this bike isn't light and zippy, but it doesn't feel like a total tank. It does feel heavier than a lot of other bikes I ride, but nowhere near as heavy as that Marin. I like the steep seat tube. The 64 is probably 64.3, maybe 0.4 head angle right now with the 130 fork. Feels pretty stable and planted, even on slow tech climbs. 435 chainstay is a touch longer than most bikes in my size. And if you're on a medium, large, or extra large, your chainstay will be even longer. So my comments on riding position and location of the wheels to your body should be accurate across all size ranges. It's not a nervous bike at all. It just feels very planted. I don't really have to fight it for balance. If you've ever ridden this trail, you know how tricky it is. Especially this little climb here. Gonna see if we can get it no dabs. Tricky move. Little pedal strike there. Oh yeah. Oh, that was close. No dabs though. All right. Oh no, had to dab there. I was thinking about my video. So that low stack, that low front end, coupled with the longer chain stays, makes it a lot harder to pop into a manual. You really have to lift that front wheel higher than you think to find that balance point. It's really easy to balance on this thing. I'm not sawing at the wheel or hanging on for dear life. And it doesn't feel as long as the Codex Beefy Max or the Solaris Max. Ooh, that's gotten loose. And by long, I'm talking about chain stays. Yeah, comfortable little climber on this slow tech. This is a really comfortable climber. I love the seat tube angle. The slightly longer rear end puts you in a really centered spot. Beautiful day. Soak this in just a minute before we head down. Excited. This bike's been super confident on the up. I have a feeling it's going to be equally confident, if not more, on the down. I want to give a shout out to my patrons for supporting this channel. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, I love being able to run a 180 dropper That's so nice. Get that seat way out of the way. More than I've ever ridden before on any bike. Oh, this feels so good with the 130 fork on it. It's not diving on me. Now I've got my super stabilized footage. I know you guys like watching super smooth footage. Woo! But that doesn't really tell the full story of what a bike ride's like. It's kind of deceptive. It is bouncy on a hardtail no matter how supple it is. Oh, this thing is fast. Woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah, super confident on this thing despite the loose conditions. So it's not as supple as the Solaris Max. Most bikes aren't. But it's not overbuilt like a Cro-Mag. It's not overly stiff. Kind of in there with a decent steel feel. A little bit stiff. Yeah, it's stiffer than some, but not super stiff like a Cro-Mag. Man, this thing, it kind of wants to stay glued on the ground and just charge. Oh man, super in control on the edge there. You can still throw it around. It's not extremely long in the size small. It's less playful than the Hanzo ESD. Woo! Bumpy! Oh yeah. This would be a great enduro race bike because of how planted it is. Oh, I much prefer a 130 fork on this stuff. 140 or 150. My body's feeling it. This bike wants to charge though. It's fun. Very in control, and this thing just wants to hug the ground. It wants you to kind of tuck and just charge everything. Super stable and in control. A lot of people have been skidding through here. Remember, if you're skidding, you need more front brake or to slow down a little. Skidding means you're relying on your back brake too much. 70% of your stopping power comes from the front brake. Oh, what a glorious day. This bike is fun. Wants to be opened up, but it's not a pain at slow speeds. It's not zippy, it's not a sprinter, but it is not bad as an all-rounder trail bike. Once you raise that stack up in the front. Let's talk about this bike versus the ESD, because that ESD was pretty special. The ESD is a softer, more compliant ride. It has a more playful nature due to the short chain stays. This feels better because it's on a 130 fork and that front's not diving as much. Or you could just get an ESD and cram it full of volume spacers and never use full 150. But then what's the point? This feels like more of a charger. Both climb great. When you ride a hardtail on this terrain, you need to be real careful about rear wheel placement, not just to protect the wheel, but to not get bucked around. Into the chute. Ooh, that back end wants to wander on me. It was fishtailing around a little bit. This trail is in rough shape. Here we go. Oh, that's a scary move. So dusty. Okay, so because I was so far forward and that rear wheel so far back, it got a little fishtaily in the chute. gotten so bad. Woo! Yeah, this bike's got control. That's scary when you're out here alone. If you've ever ridden that section, you know. Whew! It's a little rough getting bounced around. It's not as smooth as a supple bike. Rear end's a little bit too stiff. Whew! What a trail. Yeah, it's real interesting. I feel the rear end wanting to snake around to the front, around the side. When I'm on the brakes, creeping into a steep chute, the back end doesn't want to stay behind me. Oh, what a ride. Woo, we did it. One dab, the whole trail. I wish I hadn't dabbed, but that's life, and that's climbing with the super slack 64 to 64.3 degree head angle. Yeah. Nice job, Passila bicycles. This Hamari's fun. It's a little stiff. I got some arm pump. Hello. I only got some calf pump from how stiff that back end was, but it was controlled through all of that. And even though the camera footage is very smooth, it's bumpy no matter what bike you ride this on, especially a hardtail. I'm glad I sized down and did not go with the size on their size chart. I think their size chart's a little off. If I'd been up a size, it would have been a totally different story. 450 chainstays, some crazy long reach. And even though this is a small, this is bigger than a lot of companies' large and extra large models. So don't say, oh, I was a medium on my last bike, I'll just get a medium on this bike. You need to read the geotables and pay attention to the reach especially. So yeah, climbing like fire road, sit and spin, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. If it was a little lighter, it'd just zip right up stuff, but that's not really its intention. Technical climbing, 9.5 out of 10. Real composed, real comfortable, a little heavy. All right, let's point it down a little bit more. Gotta watch out for hikers so I can't go full out. This is what a lot of you SoCal guys, this trail's a lot like your kind of stuff. A little bit rockier. So it'll manual, you just have to put more effort into it to initiate it. Man, this thing is planted. You can get lazy with line choice. What a bike. Carves corners really well. I like the way long wheelbase bikes corner. Hello. Just gonna sneak by you. Have a good day. Yeah, I feel that rear end sliding around, which is fun. And I'm sure it looks cool on video. Once you're following someone that has one of these, a little bit unnerving when that rear end starts chasing you around the front. But it does corner really well. Especially when it's a sweeper and you've got time to set up for it properly, corners so well. This bike is pure confidence. These conditions are awful, but I'm having a blast out here and I'm not scared. It carves so well, even though it's got a long wheelbase, you think, oh, that's not gonna slalom super well. It does. It just takes body English and proper technique. Man, this thing, it wants to stay glued on the ground so that it can go faster and have more traction. And that rear end, oh, you can bunny hop it. That was about a 20-inch bunny hop, but it takes a lot of effort, partly due to the weight and where that rear wheel is. This is a really good bike, guys. especially if you like going fast. Oh, wow, what a special bike. So glad you guys sent this to me, Passila. All right, let's finish up our review. Descending, 9.9 out of 10. The only reason it's not 10 is the way that back end wants to sneak around, but I'm sure that's just technique on my part. This is one of the best descending bikes I've ever ridden, and that's with a 130 fork. More travel would not have made this feel any better anywhere today. The only place I like more travel is when you're hucking into garbage, either huck to flat or huck into a rock garden or something, and you just want your fork to make up for it. But on an actual trail, like if I were racing enduro on this, which this would be one of my top choices for an enduro bike. Let's see if we can get this. Oh, it's so slippery. No, just covered in dirt. This would be one of my top choices for an enduro race bike. I wouldn't want any more travel. I wouldn't go faster with more travel. The bike would just dive more. Yeah, that rear wheel's wandering again. All right, we got the climb out of there though. Nice. It's a good little climber. Man, if they could shed a pound or two off this and make it a little more supple, be a killer trail bike. Playfulness, I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. It'll jump. It'll manual for short distances. I have a hard time locking it into the balance point. You really have to get that up. It doesn't bunny hop extremely well. Feels like it wants to stay glued to the ground because it can go faster that way, and that's okay. Just not the most playful, but it is extremely fun to ride fast and glued to the ground on it. It's a neat bike. I think a lot of people are going to be happy with a hardtail like this. If you have challenging extreme terrain, if you're just flat rolly stuff like what I'm on right now with small bursts of up or down, it's probably more bike than you need. It is more bike than you need, I'm gonna say it. And we're starting to see more and more lightweight bikes with similar geo to this coming out that are meant as trail bikes. And I'm really excited about that genre, because most people don't have trails like Highline like we rode today. This bike rides exactly like its GeoChart looks on paper, except for that stack. And these Terravale Kessels, I don't love them as a back tire. Kind of spinny. It's working okay as a front tire. Almost as good as a DHF. I feel like most people buy these tires for their tan walls to take pictures of, and they do look great. But looks should not be the first reason you buy tires. Oh yeah, nice. Went right up that, I'm impressed. This is a special bike and it's refined. I'm blown away that these guys have only been around for 2 years, because their frame feels like it's made by someone who's been doing this for 15 years. The cable routing, the ports where everything is, the straight seat tube to fit a long dropper. Everything about this just feels refined. Usually on new companies, there's a couple weird things like, oops, we put the bosses on the wrong side, you're gonna have to run the cable on the other side, or we forgot that the water bottle interferes with another drivetrain part or something. But man, this bike is really polished. They've done a great job. Really impressed with these guys. I wholeheartedly recommend this bike. If you like going fast, pointing it downhill, plowing and just charging, but still being able to turn like you're on skis, man, it's so fun. It turns so well. You definitely have to check this bike out. It's heavy. It's a little bit stiff. If you're a big, heavier rider, over 200 pounds, you're gonna love this. I love that it has clearance for big tires. Love how quiet it is. This thing corners it better than almost any bike I've ever ridden. Cornering 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. Such a good cornerer. All right, let's climb up this crazy stuff. All right, let's finish up with a little fun here. Take this down this rowdy little canyon. Man, this thing wants to charge and it does so well at it. Hello. Good little 4-foot huck there. You did it with ease. Thing is solid. I do feel a little more beat up. My joints are more tired than normal. What a cool bike though, holy cow. Really surprised me. Company I'd never heard of. Just knocking it out of the park like this. Oh, it just loves to dive into corners. You're in the perfect balance spot with that long reach, slightly longer chainstay. It's a dream to corner. So much cornering traction. This bike with the 134, what a good choice. Oh, what a special bike. Thanks for riding along with me. This has been fun taking you along. Here we are at the end of our ride. I'm sad it's over. I went into this a little bit scared of the trail conditions and riding this hard solo. This bike was so planted. I don't think I've ever been that confident on this trail to just charge it that hard. The back end did get away from me a little bit in the chute, and on steep stuff where I'm on the front brake a lot and the back is further behind me and all my weight's forward, so it starts drifting a little. But once I'm used to that, I'm sure I can catch that, no problem. This is a special bike. I need a new way to add something to my reviews and ratings that's got that special something. And I'm gonna call that special sauce. And this does have the special sauce. It's that thing I can't put into words, that there's just something extra special about it. And riding it sets it apart from the other bikes I've ridden. Rides a lot like a Solaris Max, except it's stiffer and the rear end's a little bit more tucked in. And that's high praise because I love that Solaris Max. It needs a taller stack. That's one thing I would do on the next version. That's a note for the guys at Passila. As you can see, I used every last millimeter of travel, and I believe that's how you should set up your suspension. You should ride it so that you use all of it on most of your rides. Otherwise, what's the point of having it? If it's maybe for one big huck to flat that you do every 6 months, doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'd rather have a good 130 mil travel than 150 mil that I never use that does dive some more. Oh no, look, it got rowdy enough that we're losing water bottle bolts. I've never had that before. That tells you the frame's a little bit stiff. I lost both of those. Well, I lost one there and I lost one here. I didn't even realize that till just now. Whoops. I really like the cable routing. I mean, they've just done such a great job. The chainstay protector was used. I don't see any marks over here. Just right here. I'd probably put some mastic tape on that and beef it up a little bit. These are 2 4s. Plenty of room for 2 6s. What a neat bike. It has that special sauce, and that's what I'm always looking for when I'm reviewing bikes, is a bike that's got that special sauce that just makes it special and makes it more than the sum of its parts and more than its geochart. And Passila, you did it. Thank you so much for sending me this bike. I really appreciate you reaching out to me, sending this out as soon as it was available. I'm proud to have ridden this. I am a big fan of your company. Keep it up. I hope you guys are able to grow and make it your full-time job and have it be meeting all your dreams. I love the story of 5 guys who ride getting together and starting their own bike company. That's too cool. There you have it. If you've enjoyed this review and you want to support the channel, consider becoming a patron. For as little as $5 a month, you can make a big difference and help me make more of these awesome reviews more often. Thanks for watching. There's a party in the mountains and you're invited.